The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town. It had been abandoned for years, and no one dared to go near it. It was said that the house was haunted by the ghost of a young woman who had been murdered there. One night, a group of teenagers decided to go to the old house to see if the rumors were true. They snuck up to the house and peered inside. The house was dark and dusty, and the furniture was covered in cobwebs. The teenagers shivered as they looked around. Suddenly, they heard a noise. They turned around and saw a figure standing in the doorway. The figure was tall and thin, and it was wearing a white dress. The teenagers screamed and ran away. The next day, the teenagers told their friends about what they had seen. Their friends didn't believe them at first, but then they started to hear stories about the old house too. Soon, everyone in town was talking about the haunted house. No one dared to go near the house again. The house stood on the hill, empty and abandoned, a reminder of the young woman who had been murdered there. One day, a young woman named Sarah decided to go to the old house. She had heard all the stories, but she didn't believe them. She thought that the house was just an old, abandoned building. Sarah walked up to the house and peered inside. The house was dark and dusty, just like the teenagers had said. Sarah shivered and turned to leave. As she turned, she saw a figure standing in the doorway. The figure was tall and thin, and it was wearing a white dress. Sarah gasped and ran away. Sarah ran and ran until she couldn't run anymore. She collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. She knew that she had seen the ghost of the young woman who had been murdered in the house. Sarah never went back to the old house. She knew that the house was haunted, and she didn't want to see the ghost again. The old house still stands on the hill, empty and abandoned. It is a reminder of the young woman who was murdered there, and it is a warning to others not to go near the house.